we are being hacked every day. There was a little while ago when we were complaining that our elections were being hacked by foreign agents and the like, and we made a big deal of it. But one thing that we're not focusing in on is that avaricious marketers, fueled by AI, know us better than we know ourselves, and they're hacking us constantly.
Well, hello there, prosperity seeker and obedient rebel. Welcome to another episode of The Prosperity Approach. I'm your obedient rebel in residence, Allyson Chavez, and I am so excited and so honored to have today's guest on our show today. So I have to tell you just a little bit about Dave Corbin. I met him at this really cool networking event called Secret Knock. They call it the only networking event you cannot attend because you have to be invited to come to this event. And so like the biggest rule is be cool when you're there. So the person who runs this, his name is Greg Reed, and he was talking about one of his mentors, David Corbin, and pulled him up on stage and was interviewing him and just talking to him and about success and happiness and money and all these things. And Dave said one thing. Dave, you said one thing that stuck with me through the entire event. In fact, it's the only thing I remember. You said, underneath it all, we're all just goobers. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And because there's millionaires and billionaires like literally in the room. And he's like, you know what? Underneath it all, we're all goobers. So I was like, I have to have you on my show. So Dave, thanks so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I am super excited for our conversation. So you've been around the block a little bit. You've got a little bit of experience. Tell us a little bit about you.
I was born. I was born. My life is like a Netflix series, and this is the 72nd series.
Wow.
Yes, next year will be the 73rd episode, or series, actually, as many episodes per series. I'm sort of an entrepreneur. I do come up with ideas. I invent products or services around them, and I take them to market. I'm an ex-Woodstock attending hippie. And I guess I think I'm still a hippie because I do believe in peace and love. And love and respect for all. So I kind of do stand there. So I grew up a kid, in New York with extremely low self-esteem. And if I didn't have the skills to make you laugh or get you to like me, I didn't quite like myself. I did a lot. I accomplished a lot. Based around that, by the way, which is kind of crazy. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs who also are trying to sort of, I guess, compensate, Yes. And then you reach a point, you develop skills of communication and persuasion and influence and opportunity seeking. And then eventually you step into who you are, your greatness, your absolute magnificent God-given greatness. And now you don't use those skills to backfill, but you still have those skills, and you could use those skills to bless and love and serve. And so that's sort of the trajectory of my life, really.
It's, what? And I love that because this is actually like where I feel myself stepping into my gifts and my greatness. And I love that you said you still have the skills, but you don't use them as a backfill because I'm a performer and I grew up to perform for love. And so I'm a super high achiever as well. And then it was, I didn't get it. So this must mean X, Y, and Z about me. But I'm finally like, oh, wait a minute. I'm really just here to serve, and people can take it or leave it. And it's really okay. We don't have to have hatred. We don't have to have vitriol. We get to love each other as we are. So tell me how you were able to do that, because I know for me, it's been a lot of conscious effort and a lot of work, fabulous work, the best work I've ever done. But what did you do to be able to like step into your greatness?
Well, I'd like to say that I took total control of it all. But the truth is, when I said we're all goobers, we're all bozos on this bus. I'm sort of like a what's his name? Life is like a box of chocolates.
Oh, Forrest Gump.
That's me. I'm Forrest Gump. I'm not the brightest guy, but I'm darn lucky. No, I think, and it's not luck. We're born in greatness. We're born in greatness. My friend Les Brown says, you got greatness in you. You got greatness. And we do. We have that. It took a while for me to recognize, sort of, and realize that my path was, in college, I started to be a psychotherapist, and I started one of the first ever crisis intervention centers and suicide prevention hotlines in the United States. And I did that with an undergraduate. I didn't even have an undergraduate degree at SUNY Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
And I was on that path of personal and professional development. I like to say I was a psychotherapist. Now I'm just a psycho. And
Aren't we all?
but then in that process, I unpacked later because I went through a lot of personal and professional development study. Again, unconsciously trying to figure out who the heck I was. One of my clients, my dear friends, I should say, Mitch Axelrod has an idea called soul, role, and goal. And when you set a role in life that doesn't jive with your soul, you end up with soul frustration and role frustration. And then if you're dumb enough to set a goal, which is farther away from all of the aforementioned, you get a lot of frustration. And so my soul told me not to go to medical school. And I moved from California from New York to California to attend a program there, and I didn't. But I didn't know why I gave that up to sell stereos. But my soul knew that it wasn't right for me. And eventually, I started listening to my soul. Prayer is when you're talking to God, but meditation is when you listen. And so when I went into the practice of tuning in, I had greater guidance in the direction of, I had greater awareness and understanding that God's not a moron. And he made all of us unique in our own ways and perfect in our own ways.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stepped into that, I reclaimed my greatness. It's funny. I was telling someone at Secret Knock, I have a belief that we come into this plane absolutely perfect. And then through parental domestication, sit, stay.
Right.
We sort of lose that. But I think we come in and we create three big, fat, stinking lies about ourselves. One is that we're separate from the divine. We're separate from source, which is making the beautiful figs on my fig tree grow and macadamia nuts grow on my I've got a magnificent garden here. So the source that makes all of that made me, number one, I'm separate from source. No. Number two, I'm not good enough. Another big fat stinking lie. Number one, separate from source. Number two, I'm not good enough. And number three is I am in total control of my destiny. that ain't it, right? So it's interesting. I don't know if you met my friend Richard Cohn there at the Secret Knock. Richard is a publisher, and he published the book, The Secret, which was on the New York Times bestseller list longer than just about any other book and all. Yeah. And Richard years ago made his first soiree, I think, into publishing was he published this sort of living room book, beautiful, beautiful hexagonal crystals of water, right? Gorgeous. They're just the way God makes water, through, evaporation and then solar regeneration and then distillation. Those water molecules look perfect. And then they go downriver and all of a sudden they turn into these deflated soccer balls, Well, I think we came in like those perfect crystals, but over time we become sort of that deflated ego and otherwise soccer balls. And so when we recognize that, and we go back to the basics, we recognize we are tuned and attached to that thing that some people call the God of your understanding or nature of the universe. We are. And number two is we are good enough. And number three, we ain't in total control of our destiny. And so when you reclaim that, that's the starting point to greatness, is getting back to our original greatness,
And those three things, I giggled when you said the third biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we're in control of our destiny, because as a high achiever, we really do like to be in control. And that's something that I've been able to, I'm still working on it. We're all a work in progress. I'm still a goober. I'm still a bozo on this bus, but still working on like letting go of that control. How you make it sound so easy. I want to talk about the second lie we tell ourselves, which is that we're not good enough. And then you said when you realize that you are connected to God, source, whatever your higher power is, and you realize you don't have control over much of anything, and that you are good enough. Is it as simple as a decision?
Well, first, it's a realization, a deep realization and a connection within. Well, then the decisions follow simply, right? So when you know it, then the decisions are informed by that. Or more importantly, you're unencumbered with the lies. And today we are being hacked every day. There was a little while ago when we were complaining that our elections were being hacked by foreign agents and the like, and we made a big deal of it. But one thing that we're not focusing in on is that avaricious marketers, fueled by AI, know us better than we know ourselves, and they're hacking us constantly. One is only to look at the television and every commercial. They're hacking us. They're hacking young girls on body image. They're hacking the elderly on, if you feel this semblance of pain, you need this medication. And so we're being hacked on a regular basis. So when you step back into and know that you are marvelous, you're perfectly imperfect. When you step into that, well, now you need to protect it. And you need to have a cloak or a veneer that isolates you from the hacks of others. I don't think that these avaricious marketers have our best interest in mind. I did this on a stage in, I don't know, I don't know where I was in Columbia, Columbia. Yeah. And I said, time out, time out, time out. And I went, Mom, I'm angry. I'm mad. I'm pissed off. And Mom said, David, watch your language. I'm pissed off. She said, David, sit down here at the table. And then she would make me a bologna and cheese sandwich and cut the crust off for me. And I'd eat it. And I was great. And I wasn't angry. I was hungry. And Mom knew me better than I knew myself. These marketers know you better than you know yourself, but I don't think they have the same intentions for you as Mom had for you, you see? Mm-hmm. So I want to share that there is a solution to that. And that is for you to hack yourself on a regular basis.
Oh, tell me.
With affirmations, with meditation. There's something I teach called meditation when I do my mentoring. Yeah, I won't get into the weeds on it, but meditation is, in meditation, they say, do not think, let those thoughts move away like a cloud in the sky. And I say, well, actually, meditation is you put an issue down on a piece of paper, set your cell phone for 22 minutes, and with your eyes closed and that question on top, you then put yourself in a meditative state. And for the next 20 minutes, you listen and write it down. Listen and write it down. Connect in. And you keep your eyes closed, which is interesting because sometimes you can't quite read what it's like. Don't eat frogs on Thursday. Now, what could I have meant with, but eventually you can. What you're doing is you're tapping in, and it's like I was joking. this was in Mexico the other day in Cancun. I was sharing with an audience. I went, I am so pissed off at my cat. I am so pissed off. And they're looking at me like I got three heads. I said, yeah, man, I mean, he obviously hacked into my YouTube account. He must have looked over my shoulder, got my password, because every time he eats a rodent, because he's an indoor outdoor, he'll eat a rabbit or he'll eat a squirrel or whatever. He knows exactly what parts to eat and exactly what parts not to eat. And he does it consistently. Now, how would he know that? He hacked into my YouTube, darn it. So, and so, no, he didn't. He hacked in and tuned into himself, his nature. And so what I remind people is, yeah, when you want to know what to do, you don't have to go, don't tune into YouTube. Kill the tube and tune into the you part. Tune into the you, and then be still and know that I am. And when you do that, you get pretty lucky. Magic happens. You tend to magically attract people and situations and things that harmonize and resonate with your frequency of self-love, self-awareness, and taking part of control of your destiny. It says, Lord help those who help themselves.
Right.
So you got to take a step towards, and then the divine will take 3 steps towards you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is so beautiful. I love that meditation. I'm going to try that. I already know the book I'm going to write in. It's very big so that I don't run off the paper and write on the table. that is
You have your feelings. You can't feel it. And after a while you do get good at it. And it's pretty cool because within you are all the answers. I mentor people, as you know. I've mentored Greg now for 21 years, and
wow.
a number of the other speakers there, and some very famous people and not so famous people. They fly in. In fact, somebody won that big tub of love. We all donated to the tub of love. And
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with a woman this morning who won because she won a half day of mentoring with me. And then she gets to stay in my cottage on the property.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that offer.
So she's very excited about that. And we just spoke today. So I do this mentoring, and the people fly in from wherever around the world or the country, or if they're local, they drive, they spend the night at the cottage. And then we spend a full day mentoring. And part of that process is peeling back the curtains to see what some of the tapes are that are running inside, that are just pulling you backwards, that are just encumbrances, and they're big, fat, smelly, stinky lies in addition to the big 3. And it's kind of cool because it liberates. I used to do a program called the Unencumbered Entrepreneur, right? Unencumbered of that, unencumbered of the poisons that we put in our systems. And we continually put poisons in, and we don't cleanse for the poisons that are in this toxic cesspool that we live in. Because I believe in the entrepreneur deeply, and it's hard enough to be a successful entrepreneur, but to be encumbered with negative thoughts and weight per se, or toxicity, or negative thoughts, or negative, it makes it tougher yet. And when you remove those encumbrances, you fly, baby. You fly. You can step into your greatness unencumbered, and you can bless and serve others and yourself and your families as never before.
Is it easy, or I'm not going to say easy. Can it be a fast process to unencumber yourself?
I'm going to sound like a politician. Yes and no. Well, it sort of is when you come to an awareness. There's 2 things in place here. There's awareness and attentiveness. A lot of things we're aware of, but we're inattentive to them, you see. Like, I knew I should have released weight, and I didn't. I knew I should quit smoking cigarettes a long time ago, and I didn't for a long period of time. On and on and on. So awareness and attentiveness. When you become aware of that which we're talking about right now, that's great. That's great. You've stretched the rubber band. It'll never go back to its original shape, but you might go back to your old habits. So I think when you become aware and then you make a commitment and then you illuminate it. You may have heard people talking about my book, Illuminate. When you illuminate, you face it, follow it, and fix it. Then it's easy and it can go fast. Face it. In my case, I was 50 some odd pounds heavier than I am today. Greg and I did a movie 18 years ago with all these luminaries, the president of Southwest Airlines and congressmen and the chicken soup guys and Evander Holyfield. And I was the host of the movie. And if you look at the movie, you almost won't recognize me because I was a big boy and all. So when I illuminated my weight, faced it, I am 50 pounds overweight. Follow it. How did I get here? Follow it into the past. Well, at night I'd drink 2-3 glasses of wine and bring my blood sugar down. Then I'd eat a whole bunch of stuff and then I'd go to sleep. I was training to be an athlete, but that athlete was a sumo wrestler. That's how they raise sumo wrestlers, right? You feed them a lot of food at night and have them go to sleep. So face it, follow it. How did I get there? What's keeping it that way? And what happens in the future? Well, in the future, I probably won't live long enough. At the time, I didn't have any grandchildren. I won't live long enough to see grandchildren or to play with grandchildren. And so what's the fix? And I wrote out all the fixes. What could, might, should, ought I do to modify for that? And then I created habits, small habits, one push-up, just one push-up, and then 2 push-ups. And then I was like, yeah, I could do 5 push-ups. And got up to 150. Same thing with sit-ups and a little bit at a time. And so cut down on this, just build the habits of success. And what happens is up goes your competence, which then brings up your confidence, which then brings up your competence, which brings up and you're going up the eensy beensy spider, but not up the water spout, but the spout to prosperity and fulfillment. So it's make a decision and commit to small incremental habit forming actions and then build your self-esteem. There's this thing called you've seen this thing here. I don't know if it works where you live, but they call it gravity. But it's called the law of gravity. There's another law called the law of control. And the law of control says we feel good about ourselves. Our self-esteem is tied to our taking purposeful action towards our destiny. And when we do these things, our competence and confidence goes up and we start building the habits associated with prosperity, fulfillment, happiness, joy, health, all those groovy things,
Mm-hmm. That is beautiful. I have chills. I have chills because it's so great. And one thing that was implied but wasn't said out loud. So I'm going to say it out loud. Well, actually, there was parts that said out loud. Okay, so we're going to start there. We're going to start there. You said cut down. I noticed you did not say cut out. So when you were working on your weight journey, it was not cut out wine, cut out chocolate, cut out fats, or it was cut down. It wasn't just go completely cold turkey. And I don't know what you ended up doing as far as the food was concerned, but I love that you weren't just like, all right, 100 push-ups followed by 150 sit-ups and no more fun food, no more fun drinks. It was just a little bit at a time. Exactly. And I think that's, yeah. For those of you listening and not seeing, he was just slitting his throat and creating a noose. Because who wants to do that? Like, none of us want to do that. But okay, I remember now what I was going to say that was implied but not said out loud was that you were in awareness and then attentiveness, but no judgment.
Mm.
When you said find it, right? And then follow it. Is it find it first, find it, follow it?
Face it, follow it.
Face it, follow it. So you followed it to like, okay, what got me here? But you didn't go into the story. You just got into the facts of what got you there. Where is it? Where is it going to, if I follow this path continuing into the future, where is it going to take me? And and now what might I do? Like there was no judgment in there at all. You didn't say anything about your father. You didn't say anything about getting beat up as a little boy. You didn't say and we tend to go into these stories about this is why it's so hard for me to change. And this is why it works for everybody but me. So is that something consciously that you did, or was it an unconscious where you were just in awareness and attentiveness, but you stopped judging it?
It's interesting. First of all, the judgment is a very important conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I had read from one of my mentors, James Baldwin, a marvelous playwright. He was an African American, he was an activist and a thought leader. He said essentially, we can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it. And then I wrote the book, Illuminate, Harnessing the Positive Power of Negative Thinking, which said face it, follow it, and fix it, and said, look, when you keep issues, in the dark and you repress them, if you sweep them under the carpet in the dark, they multiply like mushrooms, right? But sometimes when you take them and put it in the light of day, daylight being the greatest disinfectant, that issue can sometimes disappear like a vampire, right, in daylight, or it reduces its power. So I don't say you have to eliminate something. I say you illuminate it, and then you incrementally sort of get rid of it. And that's why people find these excuses, and there's always an excuse and why they're not going to do it. So, and there's something else. In 1948, Dr. Kurt Lewin had something called force field analysis. And you have this thing called driving forces, and then you have restraining forces. And sometimes the driving forces are winning, sometimes the restraining forces are winning. And wherever you're at, that's called quasi-equilibrium. What I found out is if you keep pushing on the gas or pushing on the driving forces, you're going to get often equal or greater resistance. But if you look at the restraining forces, if you illuminate them, face them, follow it, and fix them, if you minimize their power, certainly if you completely eliminate their power, but if you minimize their power, you move in the direction of your desired goal. And so, but if you tickle someone, boom, they go flying. And so I really think, to the entrepreneur, to the business person, to the mother, to the father, we have goals that we want to accomplish, but we don't realize that there's a bungee cord attached to our right butt cheek, pulling us backwards. So we're always in a state of dynamic tension. You know what I mean? Like shaking, like when you're holding a weight for a long period of time and you're shaking. Because that bungee cord is pulling us back to the old beliefs of I'm not good enough, or if I express my true self, I won't be understood, heard, or loved. I'll be rejected, or whatever those patterns are pulling us backwards keeps us in that state of dynamic tension. But when you can identify those patterns and you cut that bungee cord, you go flying towards your goals. And that's the importance. Not coaching is one thing, and it's great. Mentoring looks at the whole being and identifies some of those encumbrances and helps you to cut that bungee cord, and you fly your ass off in the direction of what you want.
Oh, David, you have totally blessed my life today. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. How do we get your book, and how do we get more of you?
Yeah. So the books are all over. They're on Audible, they're on Kindle, they're hardcover, softcover. I'm coming out with my 15th book this month, and I have another book. Have you heard of WTF to OMG with some LOL? That it's stories of people going through what the fertilizer's going on, only to realize, oh my God, that was a gift. So I wrote one edition and it hit #1 on Wall Street Journal bestseller list. And then I wrote a second version with contributing authors. It came in #2 behind Prince Harry, and I've got a third one coming out. And if somebody wants to be in it, they have to pay, but they will become a Wall Street Journal best-selling series co-author for the rest of their lives. And so they could reach me about that too, which is totally, I mean, if on your book you have Wall Street Journal best-selling series co-author, it's like being an Olympian or being in Phantom of the Opera, or you know what I'm saying? Like some of the friends that you met of ours and stuff. So anyway, so that's kind of a cool thing. And so, yeah, my books are all over the place, and I'm all over the place, but I'm David at davidcorbin.com. And I told you, Allyson, I answer every email, David at davidcorbin.com. Maybe not in 5 minutes, but I don't have anybody answer it. And even though I have an AI bot, there's an AI David Corbin, I don't let him do that. I do that. Bio Dave does that.
Bio
So
Dave.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And there are so many people that have books inside them, but they're too afraid to, or too intimidated perhaps to write those books. But if you're a contributing author, it's much less intimidating, but you still get all of the prestige and all of that, all of the feel goods of like, look at what I contributed. Look what I helped to create. So I love that. You and I might have to talk about that after this recording. So thanks again, Dave, for being here. We appreciate you so much. We'll make sure that we put those links in the show notes so people can easily find you and find your books. I am definitely going to go get Illuminate. I'm very excited about that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, for being you, for shining. Like, you're a big deal, man. You're a big deal. You're a big goober, but you're a big deal. And it's such an honor to have you on the show today. So thank you so much.
My pleasure, Allyson.
And thank you to all of you who watch this on YouTube or listen to it on any of the podcast streaming platforms. We love you. We appreciate you. And remember, prosperity becomes you. Bye-bye.